Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to share with you a game I had in an amateur chess tournament just a couple weeks ago. I was playing with the black pieces against a fellow by the name of Randhir. So here's the black pieces now. In the under 1400 section on board 14, and this is round 1. We each had 45 minutes on our clocks with a +5 increment. And he opens with e4. I here played g6, which is the modern defense. Bishop comes here, pretty aggressive, and mainly people respond with this. Defended by the queen, also. But he goes bishop c4, which isn't a bad move by any means. Keeping an eye on this weak pawn. This bishop comes out here, as per usual, and he plays d4 now. I play e6, grabbing a bit more tension in the center, not letting this pawn and this bishop completely dominate. And then this knight jumps to f3, letting the white king castle. And I also bring my knight to e7. Did I say e3? This is f3. My knight to e7, and we're both now ready to castle. A bit of development on the board. Nothing crazy happening as of yet, but you shall see. We both castle. Bishop comes to e3, and then I play d6, which is pretty typical in the modern. Just to, well, there are three things. Knight can come here, bishop can come here, queen can come here, and if the queen comes here, these two pair up, and it can be a bit of an attack. But he goes knight c3, still developing. Here's my kind of where I branched off from what I typically do. Here, I thought about this for a bit, a few minutes, and of course he doesn't want to take this here, but I was going to play c3, knight back, b, a3, and then b5. And with this bishop now coming here, I kind of have everything I want in the development, and a little bit of a lot of bit of control in the center with those pawns. Yeah. He plays a3, preventing my knight from coming here, which wasn't really my idea. I guess he just wants to get this on the board for now, but it's not doing a whole lot preventatively, because this isn't a good square anyways. You could have played this here, and then I have to come back here, which would have just been, a loss of tempo. I could have played this anyways, and with this pawn here, it's not any weakness. So I don't get the point behind this move, but it's not a terrible move. With my knight here, there's no weaknesses or anything. These are all solidly defended. Now I go d5. I thought about this for a minute too, because typically when you play d5 in the modern, they'll just go e5, and then these two pawns are a wall against this bishop. With this knight here, it's just impenetrable. But the thing here is that the bishop is on c4, and he has to go back somewhere. And then I can take this, open up my queen, and be happy, move on with my life. Bishop goes back, I take here, he takes with the bishop, and now I'm thinking, like, this pawn's a bit of a nuisance. because I can't move because I can't move the bishop without moving my rook, and I can't move the pawn without moving my rook, and I can't move the bishop without defending this pawn. So it is a bit of a nuisance, as I said. That's why I played the move c6, to prevent the bishop from having any sort of tension on my queen side. And here we have a pretty common idea that you see with white against the modern. When the queen here pairs up with the bishop, it can support this trade. Which is good for white, because this pawn is extended, and I really need some dark square control. So this bishop is a valuable asset. And after a bit of studying prior to this tournament with one of my friends, he recommended that I just move my rook in these kind of positions. And I quite like that, because once the bishop comes here, my bishop just slides back, and I keep an eye on this diagonal, as I had before. But in this game, this bishop is really putting some pressure on my king, and with all of this boxed in, like, he has nowhere to go. So my opponent, I think logically, is just thinking, I'll add some more attackers, and like, his king's real boxed in right now, so I should be able to move my forces over there. I play the move knight f5, which is trying to go for this bishop. At the moment of playing it, I was going for that bishop. But even after he plays c3, I don't think it's the best to take the bishop. Just because I was hoping he would get the urge to take, and then I would take with the pawn and get this open file. Instead of trying to defuse his attack, that just removes my defender, my main flexible defender as a knight, because knights are more flexible. I really don't like these two knights in here. I think they're gonna come in and torture me once I grab his bishop, essentially. So I abstain from taking this with my knight, and then instead I move my my bishop here, which is taking a bit of control of these squares, but also, you know, saying, hey, take my knight, I'll take here, you have, you know, take my knight, and also, now that he has this pawn wall against my bishop, I'm thinking of ideas to bring the knight, bishop around, and then queen up here. Not now, obviously. Just to kind of formulate an attack. And also with this bishop move, I'm giving my king a square to move. So now he plays knight here, and he's saying, do you want to take this with your knight? Do you want to, like, what do you want? I move my knight back here because I'm not worried if he takes. These are defended by two pawns. And then once this pawn moves, this bishop protects it. So, like, bro, I'm all good. Like, you defuse it, and I'll attack. I'll bring in some attackers. He takes with the knight. I take with the pawn, which is now a nuisance against his bishop. He moves it back, looking to come here, and I bring my queen up. This is eyeing this pawn, maybe, in the future. And also, if this bishop moves, the rook can come in. But not with that knight there. He moves his bishop back. And it's defended, so I've got to move my queen. But, like, these two squares, it's between these two squares because I've got to keep an eye on that knight. And I don't like this square because he can bring his protected rook in, protected thrice, and trade off there and win a bit of time. So I move my queen back here. Was my idea. Protect this and all. He moves his bishop here, which is eyeing this pawn once again, and sort of looking at my king. And I move my rook up to not only keep an eye on this pawn, but also when this bishop moves, I want to bring the other rook in here and have it supported. He moves his bishop back here, and I think for a moment, and I realize this bishop is not protected, and if it moves, the rook falls, and I have no good captures but to take this, and we trade off. He takes with the queen, to possibly keep this pawn defended by the knight, but also bring this queen in, to keep an eye on my stuff. I don't like his queen there, so I bring the queen into a knight in to attack it. And he plays queen f6. And like, he doesn't have a huge attack right now. But also, like, everything's sort of tense. Like this queen is defending this rook, so I can't move out that far, or something like that. And also, he's keeping an eye, keeping my king in check, proverbially. I play b6, which is hoping to move the bishop. Rook comes in, support this rook here, because I don't really see anything to lever out this queen. With my dark squared bishop gone, I'm kind of grasping at straws. Knight e5 attacks my queen, and that is kind of dominating. I can leave this pawn unprotected, but I think I don't want to, because if he trades here, like, it all just falls apart. But I play queen e8. Keep an eye on this. Okay, he brings the queen back out. He's tried to land an attack, but it's not going so well for him. And I play rook c7. And this rook c7 move is looking for a queen trade. He brings this rook here. I go for the queen trade. He politely declines. And also keeps an eye on this rook for the future. I play my bishop here to keep an eye on this rook, and he blocks it out with his pawn. I believe I should have taken here, but I didn't like the rook's vision this way. And I played this to open up this bishop potentially. Um, but this pawn hangs and adds, no, this is defended, and brings this knight in. And like the engine's going a little crazy here, but you know, we're not engines, so it's whatever. I take with the rook. I don't quite understand why he did that. Well, I didn't at the moment. But I do see this fork. But this move here, let me tell you, I spent quite a bit of time on this. And I thought to myself, what if I just take this pawn here? You don't see the engine going crazy now, do you? Even though this pawn sees these two pieces, taking this bishop opens up my bishop to trade. So he takes the rook, I take the bishop, and then I take the rook, and then he takes my bishop. So it's completely equal in that regard. But I have this pawn here. He can take with his queen, but this pawn is easily winnable. And I thought I was a genius. But I spent so much time that after he plays queen c3, I completely melt because I didn't calculate this. And I wasted too much time, and I got time pressured here. I saw the free bishop. He saw the free rook. And this is such an annoyance. I couldn't process all of this at once. It was just too much in the moment. And I played bishop takes because I think I'm completely lost here. I don't see a way out. He takes the rook, which admittedly was a blind spot, but I wasn't hoping to win from here. I move my king up, and this knight is hanging, this bishop is hanging. He takes the bishop, I move the knight, which isn't a queen blunder, because I take his queen too, and I'm hoping to alleviate that pressure, because once the rook and the queen team up, I'm pretty much lost. And then he takes this pawn, and my only square for the knight to go to is b5, so I play knight b5. He advances his pawn, and it was at this moment I knew I was dead lost, because this this pawn is just like this. It just keeps me out of it. Like I got nothing. He can kick my knight around. It is a little hard to hold against this knight, but this king can't really come in all that much. And he has these two pawns here. I can't uproot this without him promoting. So I did what I thought was best, and that was to trade off this pawn so to keep him from promoting. But it was at this moment when I stopped notating, because I am in a lot of hot water. And I needed to keep my attention focused on the game, and I was really focused on aiming for a stalemate here. But he did bring his rook here, and then he ended up promoting to a queen. This knight danced king. This king danced around this pawn structure for a bit, which was my last hope. But eventually he checkmated me back around here, like I did a whole circle. It was kind of funny. And that is GG. So I hope you enjoyed this recap, and let me know if I should recap some of my other games. I have quite a few other ones, 3 other from this tournament, and a couple other tournaments I did, and some from my chess club. Um, well, yeah, that about sums up this game. Uh, Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.